You know you're coming to JBLM, you've got your orders, you're ready to go, you're trying to make some major decisions. We've done this so many times with clients that are coming from far away. They've never even been to Washington State before. They have no idea what to expect about the location, about whether they should rent versus buy. We've narrowed this down to 5 easy steps for our clients, and we're gonna go over that with you today.
Yeah, sometimes, they come from different walks of life. I just had somebody who was dead set from the South and they needed air conditioning. So we're going to talk about those things too.
So the first thing I always try to unpack with people is, where do they need to be? So how far away are you willing to be from work? Where's maybe your spouse going to be as far as work? And what kind of commute are you willing to do? And there's several cities around JBLM. There's several different neighborhoods, some that are better for one reason versus another. Some people like to be more in an urban setting. Some people like to be out a little bit. So for all of those reasons, we've kind of become experts in this area. We have tons of clients that are military. So we've learned that what one person loves isn't necessarily what the other one loves, but we can help you figure out for you and your needs what will work best.
The biggest thing is, are you going to be going to the Air Force Base? Are you going to be on North Fort? Where are you going to report to on post? Because what we found is 30 minutes away is only 30 minutes away if you know where you're going. And so if you're going to be over on the other side, which is the east side of the base, so say Puyallup, sometimes you could be closer to Ording, and now you're working your way back, and it might seem nice and easy, and you're going into the east gate. But if you're traveling all the way over to North Fort, you've got to add that time in too. So it might make more sense to actually be in an area that's closer to North Fort. So it's a little bit complicated, but we got your back on that.
Next, of course, is whether or not it makes sense for you to rent, or does it make sense for you to buy? And a lot of people think they're going to come here and find on-post housing, which has been an absolute nightmare for years. There just isn't enough available. So you're going to want to check that out. See what the waiting times look like. Realistically, you're probably going to have to rent off base unless you're ready to buy, and then that's the process that we definitely can help you figure out.
If you're looking at the rent values, so what I would encourage you to do is, if you need a certain amount of space, if you like a certain amount of house, go onto some consumer websites, see what the rental market looks like, or contact us and we'll help you out. If you're looking for a home, and let's say it's a 4-bedroom house and it's 2,500 square feet, maybe it's smaller, we can tell you what the price is. Right now the price probably going to be about $575,000. Maybe when you're watching this video it's a little higher. So figure out what that equals to in rent. So look up those same types of houses, those same sizes, look at the rent costs. We can give them to you again. But if you're going to be here for a certain amount of time, and you know that, I would start with the math, like what makes the most sense. And I can tell you, because I've done the math many times, and right now with the anticipated appreciation of where the market's going, and with the tax benefits and the things from ownership, is that it needs to be at least 2 years, if not 3. So if you know you're going to be here for 3 years, that's going to tilt the balances back towards purchasing. If you do want to be in control of your situation, or even maybe keep the property as a rental, at that point I would say 100% probably look toward buying. But if you can honestly say that you may turn around and get stationed back out of JBLM in a year or even 2, it might make sense to rent for sure at that point, because by the time you turn around and you liquidate the property, if you don't want to rent it, you're going to be looking at trying to break even probably. And if you don't qualify for disability and you're putting the VA funding fee into your mortgage, those are going to be things that are going to be expenses for you that you're going to have to pay off in your loan. So we're going to want to make sure that you're covered there. So there's some math involved, but that's the things that you want to be considering.
What you might not realize if you haven't been here before is that this is one of the number 1 or number 2 retirement communities for VA retirement. So I have a lot of clients that get stationed here for 2 or 3 years. They buy a home with the intention of coming back to it later. So you may want to think about that. If it's in your mindset to come back 10 years later or whenever, you might want to own a rental property for the future. So nowadays, most people start doing their research online. That's just where everybody starts shopping, right? So you know you're getting orders, you're pretty sure you're coming this direction, and you start looking on YouTube, you start searching on Zillow maybe, you start thinking about what does this area look like, watching a bunch, maybe even Google Earth, whatever you're into as far as research goes. And then you reach out to somebody like us.
So typically how that would look is a lot of the times we deal with folks that don't know any of the surrounding areas. So most people say, I want to live within 30 minutes drive, sometimes further. It's usually the folks that want some land, which is totally fine. But like, what do these cities look like? And again, where are you going to exactly on the post? And then just getting some awareness of what those areas are like to live in, because the information online is really lacking. So if you love the rural area, should you be in Yelm? If you love the urban area, should you be right across the street, and or should you be in Tacoma or DuPont? Should you be in Puyallup? Like, just getting a better understanding of how you fit into the culture of that area is really smart start, because the last thing we want is somebody to move out to the area and not fit with their environment.
A lot of people really want to see what the neighborhood looks like. So I take a ton of video. I take video of coming into the neighborhood, and then I take video of, if I'm going to a home to do a video inside of a home, I'll take video of like the 5 or 6 surrounding houses out front, so you could see like what everyone's front yard looks like, and if there's junky cars next door or not, or what it is, what that HOA may or may not require of you if it's a neighborhood like that. And then I do a very detailed walkthrough inside the home, pointing out things that maybe need to be fixed, updated, or smell weird. I've had several scenarios like that where I walk in the house and I'm like, oh, it smells like 4 Labradors live in this house, and I know that you're allergic to dogs. So if this is the home you really, really love, we're gonna have to work on with the seller getting that fixed. So just being your eyes and ears on the ground, and taking into consideration the things that we've talked about, and then just really pointing them out on camera so that you know what's real and what's not.
The reality is when you're looking at Zillow or Redfin or any of those websites, realtors that are trying to sell those homes, the smart ones, are using really great photography, sometimes wide angle photos. And so you're trying to piece together what it would feel like to live in this house, but you're looking at all these wide angle photos. What you really need to see is what you would see if you were there, which is video uninterrupted from the street all the way through the house.
Yeah, right? There's things that are strategically left out of those videos or of those photos that you will not get because they're marketing photos and videos that you will get from the realtor that's actually representing you.
Oh yeah.
It's a different version of the story.
I've seen it a ton of times. Maybe there's a major highway right next to the house that's strategically left out.
Right.
Or maybe there's a house next door that has 5 cars that are have grass growing through them, and a RV that has a tarp over it, out in the yard. So those are important things to know.
I had one recently that was new construction, so there should have been absolutely nothing wrong with this house. But the way that it was backed up to the house next to it was their backyard like this, and they had a giant dog in the backyard, and this house was above the lower one. So as you walk up to your front, what would be your front porch, this dog was literally going berserk. So I can only imagine living in that house and having that dog. It would have been right next to the master bedroom too. So no.
Yeah, and you would just
You would never know that though if you weren't here physically.
You would just show up to live in the property, and you would have this dog just barking like crazy right next to your front door.
Yes.
This is going to arrive to you as a link, and it's going to be a full walkthrough video tour of the neighborhood, of the house, with commentary. And so it's quite different than a marketing video from the person who's trying to sell the property. We're trying to critique the property. We're trying to size it up, like, is this good enough for you? And so that shows up, cell phone, email, you get to review that. And so that's a differentiator right there, because getting that is really, it's almost like you're here.
Yeah, and you can watch it multiple times. You can send it to each other. You can send it to your other family members. Everybody gets a chance to have their opinion about it, and then we get back to each other and talk about it, talk about what maybe does or doesn't work, and if that's not the one, we go to the next one.
Some of it is the timing too. I have to tell you, when I help people do this and when Jessica helps people do this, we have a tool that allows us to send that video right in real time. And so I'm going and looking at a house. The people I'm helping, they know I'm going to look at the house at 12 o'clock. I'm walking through from 12 to 12:15, and sometimes before I even leave the driveway of that property, they've got the video. And believe me, that matters, because if I have to go home and do it, or if it's a different realtor that doesn't have access to doing it this way, sometimes, correct me if I'm wrong, but you can lose the house just over a few hours because it's a competitive offer situation. Every hour that goes by that you're not making a decision in a competitive environment means you can't slide in front of somebody and be the winning bid. Or the first bid that the seller accepts. So it absolutely matters.
So once you've decided on one of the homes that you've got in your videos and you've picked the one, we go through and do the offer and get that accepted, and all of that is really done online anymore. Pretty much all of our paperwork, everything that we do is via email, or even a lot of people do it on their phones. So there's no reason to physically be here and be present for the paperwork. Even for people that live here, they don't come in and sign paperwork anymore. So the next major thing is the inspection process. And I find that a lot of my people that are PCSing here don't have the opportunity to go through the home, so they want us to do video and really be their eyes and ears during that process as well.
Yeah, so it's, doing a summary of the inspection is really critical. The inspector that we provide for you or that you hire, and the reality, we're going to be there for 2 hours that day typically. It's really nice sometimes to get the summary of what happened from the inspector, but also from the person that was there to see the things in real time, because you're going to get a lot of photos, but sometimes you don't get any kind of video from the home inspector. So we make it a point to do that as well. Last house I did, there was quite a bit of cosmetic items. There were some cracks in the driveway. There were some minor things. The way it's worded in the inspection versus seeing it from me is going to be two different experiences, and you can benefit from having both experiences. But to back it up here, when you see the video and you like the house, one of the things that happens in between during that offer process is a lot of the times you need the assistance to figure out what's the best offer look like. What is the competition? So there's a lot that goes on that we're kind of assisting through, and a lot of it is video and explanations, and trying to make it as easy as possible. But a lot of people miss that importance of figuring out what the house is truly worth, what is a strategic offer to make, and then what are the things that Jessica or B or anybody on the team can help you do to get that offer accepted. Like, what's the relationship like with the agent for the property that you'd be making the offer on?
Yeah, and then the other thing is with the inspection items, going through the home and deciding which items you're actually going to ask the seller for, which ones we should let slide. Does the market allow for us to ask for a lot of things, or were there 3 other people right behind us that want to buy this house, so we really can't ask for a whole lot? Mm-hmm. So all of those things are for us to help you navigate through.
Yeah, sometimes the items are pretty simple. I just got one where there's one shingle missing from the top of the roof. How are we going to ask for them to repair that? Typically we would. In this case, we wanted to improve our offer by doing a pass type of fail inspection. And so what we're going to do is we're going to assist the homeowner in getting that shingle fixed. And so at the end of the day, regardless of what the situation is, we're going to make sure that you're comfortable moving forward.
So the last thing is the closing process, which is several steps and over the last few days right before closing. So you have to sign, you get to close, but also one of the most important things is to do a rewalk of the home, to make sure that the items that we agreed upon during the inspection were completed, but also to make sure that the people that lived there before moved out, didn't cause a bunch of damage, and actually cleaned up after themselves, because I can't tell you how many times this actually comes up for us, where we have to remind people to please clean your home as you're leaving.
Yeah, you'd think that wouldn't be something that needed to happen, but it does. So again, there's layers of protection to make sure that you're going to have a smooth process, and that's one of them. So the inspection occurs. There's a minor step in between where if you're getting a mortgage, they're going to appraise the property and make sure that, you know, the value is there for what you're borrowing. And then, like you said, the rewalk. So we go out, we make sure that the property is in good condition, and we take possession essentially for you so that when you arrive, you can get the keys and move right in. And the cool thing is, we talked about being able to do this all from a distance. So what that means is those papers that you signed to purchase the property, we can have the title company that's nearest to you send a notary. And so what that means for you is that they may even come to where you currently reside. So if you're in Kansas or you're at Fort Bragg or wherever you are, that before you come to Washington State, they would show up, they would help you sign the documents. They would then overnight them back to the bank, and then everything would occur for the closing to happen the way it's supposed to. And once that's all recorded, then we take possession of the property and make sure that the keys are secure for you.
So that's all 5 of the easy steps. I have tons of clients that actually move here, and the first day they come into town, they show up at their house that they already own and get their keys for the first time and walk into their new home for the first time after just getting off of the airplane. So it's a pretty cool thing to be able to do.
Yeah, I mean, if all you have to remember is to use the list that we provide to call some utility companies and make sure you have accounts, that's pretty nice. Because the alternative would be fly out, be stressed out, try to buy homes that are only available in the 2 or 3 days you're here, which is really not likely that that's going to be the best fit for you. And so this is the best alternative that we have crafted over the years. Again, we've been doing this for 20 years to make it easy for people.
So if you are planning a move to JBLM and you are coming to our part of Washington State, check out our channel because we have tons of video that have to do with towns and communities and things to do in the Olympia area, the Yelm area, which are all towns near JBLM.
Yeah, if you want to know what restaurants to go to, you can learn there. And if you need some help, you want us to help you do this and make it easy, please reach out. We've done this dozens and dozens and dozens of times, and we can assure you that you'll be happy when it's all done.